Good morning everybody, I'm here at Graffham Common. Give me a little comment or a like if you can see me so that I know that we're live. It's not raining today, the sun's out, which is great. And we're here to start off our sculpture trail dash. I can see a few of you joining us now. Thanks for coming along. So today we are going to be dashing around to 7 Heathland sites to go and find all of our sculptures for our Heathland sculpture trail. Now each of these sculptures have a different story behind them, and we're going to be visiting some of our reserve managers as well who can tell us a bit about them and let us know the stories as well. Hi Bruno, thank you. So I'm going to introduce you to Jane and Mark in a minute, and they're going to tell us a bit about our first sculpture, which is Sheep Pig. My name is Katie, I'm the Heathlands Reunited Activities and Engagement Officer for our Heathlands Reunited project. You can find out a bit more about the project via some links that will be put in below. They should appear shortly. And the sculpture trail is funded through our Heritage Lottery funded project, Heathlands Reunited. And that's a combination of 11 partners all working together to inspire people to come out and visit their heathlands and learn a little bit more about them as well. Hi Nigel. So without further ado, we've only got 15 minutes at each sculpture, so I'll try and explain a little bit more about the sculpture trail leaflet and the website and other ways that you can go and find the sculptures as we go through today. But this is a really exciting sculpture that we've got here on Graffham, so I'm going to hand straight over to Jane and Mark, and we're going to walk along to the sculpture so you can see it as well. Thank you Michael, really nice comment about the sculptures, that's really kind. Morning Laura. Okay, so let me introduce you. Just turn this round to Jane, who's going to tell us a little bit more about Graffham Common.
Morning, hi, I'm Jane Wilmot, I'm the Reserve Manager looking after Graffham Common. Welcome virtually to Graffham Common. It's fab to do this today. I've never done this before, so this could be quite interesting. So Graffham Common's quite a new reserve for the Wildlife Trust, and we only bought it about 10 years ago, and when we bought it, it was really thick, dense pine trees, probably a bit like this, but a little bit denser even, possibly. And we knew it was had potential to be heathland because it's on the green sand heaths, part of that ridge that a lot of the West Sussex heathlands and Hampshire heathlands are on, and it's right in the middle between Lavington Common on one side and Ambersham Common on the other. But we knew we couldn't just like plough in there and just do what we liked without engaging with the locals. So, you know, we did all the wildlifey stuff, we did some surveys and everything, and there was little patches of heather around and you know, it was all looking quite promising. But I thought what I need to do is go down to the records office and just see historically what was here. And yeah, it was quite an interesting trip. I'd never been to before. It's down at Chichester, and they helped me find some old maps from the 1800s and things like that. But you know, and it was all quite interesting. Yeah, it looked like there'd been some trees planted around about the 19th century. But then they said, oh, I think I've got something really that you might be interested in, and I'm not going to tell you what it is now. I'll tell you later.
Okay, so I'm going to introduce Mark as well. Mark is a volunteer for Heathlands Reunited, and he's been working on some of the heritage. So what does that involve, Mark? Can you tell us a bit about your volunteering role and how that links to Jane's find in the archives?
Well, yeah, I came to this project, Heathlands Reunited, through a previous project called The Secrets of the High Woods, which was an archaeological project looking at aspects of the South Downs and its history. And I knew that some of my colleagues were, instead of just doing pure archaeology, were doing interviews with local residents about aspects in the High Woods. And I showed interest in that and found there was this new project all about the heathlands. So I said, well, I'd be very interested in being involved with interviewing people about life on the heaths. Living where I do, down on the coast, on the other side of the downs, it's easy to forget the heathlands. And we think of the South Downs perhaps being the chalk ridges, but I've learnt so much about the heathlands since I've been involved in this, and have done some fascinating interviews with some really interesting people, learnt a lot about their life on the heaths, their memories of their parents before them, of how life was. I've even interviewed Jane here as she was a warden for the Sussex Wildlife Trust, and I remember a very informative interview with Jane, learning all about the commons. And the very interesting fact, back in 1967, when people were asked by the government to register their interest as commoners, and very few people bothered. And that's really why now we have so many people like the Sussex Wildlife Trust and similar bodies involved in conserving these heaths, because there is no longer any natural agricultural working of these heaths as it was in the past.
Fantastic, thank you, Mark. So we've got a question here, Jane, which you may be able to help us with.
That's right.
It says, how old is the woodland? So we're talking about maybe the pine plantation before it was a heath.
Yeah, so the pines, I could tell from the research that I did that the pines were planted, well, sort of in two phases, but from memory it was about the mid-1800s, and then another load of planting happened again about the turn of the century as well. Usually these things were at times of war, when they needed timber for shipbuilding and then for props for shafts and things like that. And they did it on the heaths because they weren't very productive for normal agriculture. The heaths were kind of like the wastes of the manor, so the local commoners, the people that lived nearby, were allowed to exercise certain rights, commoners' rights, and that might have been to take firewood, it might have been to graze a few animals, it might have been to put pigs out, and sometimes there were fishing rights as well if there were ponds there. And you know, we can tell that it was open even just by looking at the landscape. We're right at the top here, so there aren't any really old trees, but down by the pond in the bottom of the site there's some amazing big pine trees, and you can tell they grew in the open heathlands, because their branches all kind of come out from below and all spreading out and everything, whereas the ones that are planted are all planted very close together in neat rows, and like you can see these ones close to us, they're very straight and pointy, and this is after we you know, selected to keep really the most interesting ones. So these are probably the ones with a few branches and nooks and crannies.
Fab, okay. Yeah, really helpful.
I could talk a bit more about them, you know, how we did the clearance and that sort of thing if you like, but maybe you've got some more questions.
So we've got a lovely comment from here from Michael, and he talks about how he loves to visit the heaths, but sometimes he ends up picking up litter and things. And we are going to touch on that point. If we go and see the sculpture, and let's have a look at the map, and then we will talk about how we would like people to help us look after them when they come and visit as well, and come and to learn a bit more about them.
And what I really like about this sculpture, so we've just walked along the Serpent Trail because we thought that would be a good way for people to see how you approach it, and then you come through the gate here, and then just appearing in the woodland is this, I don't know if you can still hear me, but this amazing little sculpture called the sheep pig.
So I'm just going to hand you the map, Jane, so you can,
okay,
so we can show people. There's a few in there, I think.
Yeah. Well, so coming back to my little visit to the archives in Chichester, this is a kind of print out a photograph of what the actual map was like, but just so you can visualise it, it was bigger than me. Can you remember how big it is, Mark? You've been to see it as well, haven't you?
I have seen it.
It's
It
about,
is enormous.
It's more than 6 foot long, I would say, and 4 foot wide. It's huge. But what is really fantastic and
I'll hold
lovely,
one end of it.
yeah. If you come that side, actually. Gosh, trying to do this socially distanced is quite tricky. But this is the map, and it's fantastic. It dates from 1629.
Yeah.
It's hand drawn in beautiful colour. And if you just kind of, and it is Graffham, so this is Gallows Hill, which is just over the way there, and the pond down at the bottom here. And if you look, there's all these. It shows that it was heathland. There's this says Coney Burrows here, and there's these are turf pits here. And it's got pictures of grazing livestock as well. So there's cattle here with these beautiful, amazing horns, ponies, and this is where the idea came for the sculpture. For some reason, whenever they drew sheep and pigs, they did them so it looked like they were on top of each other, and that occurs in quite a few times. And this really was the inspiration for the sculptor.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're going to talk to Graham, the sculptor, but we came up around. I showed him the site and talked to him about the wildlife and everything, and what was important about the site and the history, and showed him the map. And it really was the map that inspired him. And yeah, should we have a closer look?
Yeah, let's have a close up of the sheep pig.
Thanks, Mark. Noise is rolling up.
So, if you want to come and visit, I'd say that this sculpture is probably more for the seasoned rambler to come and find. It's a bit more kind of out in the sticks. There are no facilities here. This is a nature reserve, isn't it, Jane?
Yeah,
Right.
right.
So there are no bins. You'll have to take your litter home with you. There's no car park, so you need to plan your route carefully as well when you come. Jane, is there anything else you'd like to add? I can hear you.
Sorry, I'm just so excited. I don't know if you can quite pick it up on the phone, but in the distance, or not that far away, there's a hobby calling, and it sort of sounds like kill, 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 kill. And when we arrived here this morning, there was some really exciting hobby action. When I started here, someone told me that they'd seen hobbies aerial feeding their young in September, and I've been here 10 years now, or 9 years, and I've always wanted to see it and never have. I've been out here looking for them and everything. I've seen the hobbies, but I've never seen the aerial feeding. And then we got here today, I literally pulled up, calling hobby, and there it was, and the whole family of hobbies, and then one lucky young hobby got the probably what it was a swallow, because they tend to follow the swallows on migration through through down into Africa, so they've got ready supply of food as they go. But yeah, that's a bit of a distraction. But hobbies do breed on heathlands, and heathlands are fantastic for all sorts of very specific wildlife. I'm not sure how we're doing for time. Do we want to talk a bit about heathland wildlife now, or are you going to cover that a bit later?
So we have got a minute left.
Oh, we probably have too much time.
But we can, it's just a fantastic example, isn't it, Jane, of how precious these sites are, and how important they are for certain species that are so reliant on them. Yeah. And, we need people to learn about them. We need them to help us look after them. And, by coming to find the sculptures and talking to your friends about heathlands and learning a bit more about them, together we can help protect them for the future.
Yeah, and that really is why it was so important for us to buy this reserve and have this really crucial evidence of how important it is to restore the heath back. And you can see that it's not just a one-off. We're constantly having to manage the site and cover all those jobs that the commoners used to do.
Yeah. Okay, so I think
come and enjoy. Come and see Graffham Common.
Yes. So I think we're going to wrap up. Say thank you to Mark as well for joining us today. And I believe Beth is broadcasting live next from Pulborough Brooks, so you can learn a bit more about the sculpture that's there. And I will see you again shortly, first on Iping Common and then on Wall Beading. So thanks guys, bye bye.
Thanks very much.
Bye everybody.
See you then.
Bye.